and welcome to So Chatty, a podcast about sewing and textile arts. My name is Tabitha, and I'm the host. This podcast is sponsored by Reading Fashion Alliance, and today we're going to talk about the first ever fashion show you guys had back in September, and I have some of the designers here with me. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves, and then tell me a little bit about your sewing journey.
Well, I'm Roxane Gomez of Roxie Rose, and we've been friends our entire life, and it was, we took two paths in life and ended up coming back together with our creative abilities.
That's
and
so cool.
This was our very first fashion show, so it was very exciting for us, and now it's even just as exciting to be part of the podcast. So.
Yeah. So I'm Dottie Rose, the other part of Roxie Rose, and if you wanted us to talk about our actual, how we started sewing, in our lives.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we both started sewing really young. I was probably about 5 when my grandma taught me to sew by hand, and I remember a little toy sewing machine. It was all hard plastic. It was white and pink. It was about this big, and I got it when I was about 5 years old, and that's my first sewing machine that I actually sewed on, and it's kind of gone up from there. I started designing Barbie clothes and doll clothes, and then costumes for school plays, and then I ended up going to the Fashion Institute in San Francisco,
Oh, cool.
and I really didn't do anything with that degree. I just
Yes, she
went
did.
to school until now. It's been a few years since I graduated, but then we decided we wanted to do a collection together, and it's gone.
So one of the things, because I've been sewing since I was about 9 or 10 years old, because I danced competitively throughout my life, and so part of that is the dresses and the garments that we wear.
For sure.
So that's how I got started sewing, and I've sewn dozens, maybe 100 or more pieces, throughout my time. Never having the skills in a setting like she did. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity with her critical knowledge of the actual structuring of the pieces, and then my just experience of colors and designs and everything else. I thought it would be a really great combination.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys had a different skill set that you brought to the table.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I have a similar story. I started sewing for Barbie as well before sewing for myself. Yeah.
Small
yeah.
pieces, and
Yeah.
she had crazier clothes.
Yeah. I made things out of socks, so that was interesting.
That's funny.
So I'm Robin Fator. My brand is Dark Pony Designs, and I've been sewing for about 15 years, and for Dark Pony for about 10 years. I tried to learn to sew as a kid. My mom and my grandma both sewed out of necessity, mainly just making clothes for themselves or for their children. My mom, when I was about 10, was like, it's time to learn to sew. And so we had a vest pattern, and I think we sewed it upside down and backwards 15 times, right? So, and that was the beginning project. I don't know why, but she thought a vest would be the simplest place to start, but it was really challenging. So I ended up just kind of being frustrated with sewing, and I think I wore the vest once and then, threw it out. And from there, I really did not sew again until I was an adult. And I always loved fashion. I always followed fashion. I read fashion magazines, watched on TV, all those things. But I didn't really put together the sewing and the fashion for a long time. To me, the two things were completely separate. And so then when I was 25, I got a free sewing machine from a relative, and I thought, well, I should learn how to use it and see if I can make something and, make my own fashion. And I took a community education class through Shasta College, and I learned how to use my machine and made a pillowcase and, all those things. And I thought, well, now I know how to use this machine, I'll just start making, formal wear. That was my pillowcase to formal wear, and it was wow, that's big. I couldn't read a pattern, so I'm very much self-taught, and it's been a lot of trial and error, and I'm still learning the technical way of sewing, because I have my own way, and so
Absolutely.
that's kind of how I came to be a sewer.
That's great. So how did you guys hear about the show? Just off the bat. I know that you started it, but for them.
I know how I heard about it because we kind of just decided to do that.
Right.
But yeah.
Mine was Facebook.
Okay.
So I was on Facebook, and I follow a lot of fashion weeks San Francisco, New York, LA, everywhere else. And then I see, how it gives you those advertisements for, yeah, you might be interested in this. And I see it, I'm like, Reading Fashion Week, I've never heard of that. What is this? And we've been talking about collaborating already, like for months earlier, maybe even a year earlier. We were talking about like we need to get together because, like you said, the technical knowledge that she has and just the creativity that I want to contribute to was like, oh my God, Dorothy, this is it. I think this is what we're gonna do. So. Got her at lunch and we sat down and we're like, okay, if we're gonna do this, we need to make sure that we're on the same wave here. Like, what is it gonna look like? And so we all started with Facebook ads.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are powerful.
Yeah, we know that Facebook works because that's when you don't have a big advertising budget, a great place to get the word out. And and I'm so glad you guys did see it. I thought your collection was great.
Thank you.
I think I've never seen a pink thing here.
It's not intentional. It just kind of hit.
I did have to have a picture.
That's awesome.
And pink, you're pink too. I'm the only odd man out.
You're pink.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of flowers and pink, and
Yeah,
it just
we wish it was spring.
Yeah, it's great.
So Robin, what was the process for you as Reading Fashion Alliance deciding that you wanted to step out and do a fashion show?
So we got a grant from the Cultural District last year, and we, in getting that grant, proposed doing a fashion week in the Cultural District. So to kind of highlight like creativity and what the Fashion Alliance does, and local designers and local models and all those things. And when we originally had that idea, of course we had no idea how complicated and difficult it would be to actually create and accomplish a fashion week. But it was a good kind of like launching point. That grant just kind of like pushed us into going forward with that idea. And I also think, for other places like you mentioned, San Francisco, LA, New York, they all have fashion weeks, and it can become sort of a tourist event. A reason for people to come and visit, to see arts and culture, get dressed up, have a good time. I mean, it's really a party, at the end of the day. And so, part of what we do is trying to, increase the creative economy and encourage entrepreneurs and designers. And we thought, well, this would be a great way to kind of like have one event and a series of other related events that kind of highlights all of that. So,
did you get a lot more response than you were initially hoping for as far as like designers go?
It was, because of the fires, it like sort of took off when we started sort of like getting a lot of response, and then the fires happened and everything just kind of like went sideways. And there were designers we had heard from before the fires that were just kind of like, I'm doing this no matter what, and I'm committed to it. But we actually didn't have enough people before, to kind of like round out an entire show, because we wanted it to be about half hour to 45 minutes, and you need a lot of models and a lot of looks to do that. So we ended up kind of just like asking everybody kind of that we knew as a pair, could you please be in the fashion show? Can you have a few looks? We want to make this feel like a real show, like you're at a real fashion week, and part of that is having the duration of enough models. So we ended up with 11 designers and I believe about 45 models total. So it turned out to be exactly what we were hoping for as far as the length goes, but it was very up in the air until that rehearsal the week before.
I can imagine that you guys did amazing. We got here and we didn't know what to expect as far as how many other designers, what are their themes going to be, and that was really exciting for us to get to see. Oh my gosh, there's so many designers here.
Right.
So that was really exciting for us.
Good.
I got to volunteer that night, and it was really cool to watch like how the variety was, because you had more edgy looks, you had more classic looks, and it was just really cool.
And we didn't put a restriction on what the designers could.
I think it was perfect because it was so eclectic and so diverse, and then there's us and there's that. It was just so much fun.
Menswear and
visually,
casual and formal, and
kept it interesting, and it was so much fun to see.
It was a lot of fun. So, have you ever designed for a fashion show before?
No.
No.
This was the first one. I've been involved in fashion shows, just walking, modeling,
Absolutely.
and as a support person, helping other friends of mine who are designers who've done shows, but never in the capacity to where my own designs were walking. So that was new for me, and it was
Very cool.
Was
such
that a
a
local
cool
fashion show
moment.
that you'd done before?
No, this was in Albuquerque.
Oh,
So this
okay.
was a couple years back, and so that was a lot of fun, but it was definitely less pressure.
Yeah.
It was definitely.
It's always less pressure to be the model than the
Yeah. So it was a really great first experience, and I'm glad that we got to have that here in Reading.
Mhm.
As our first fashion show. It was really something cool. Got all my souvenirs.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had not done a fashion show for Dark Pony before.
Okay.
Only because it's really expensive. It's really hard to do a fashion show as one designer. So that was why this platform was nice, because you didn't have to deal with all the logistics of renting the venue and renting the chairs, and all those things are really expensive. That could, I think, prevent designers from doing shows. So we were happy as a fashion lines we had to kind of like provide all of that, the foundation kind of showcase part. So that was my first Dark Pony runway collection, and I've done some modeling in the past for friends and in Chico and different places, and so I've been on both sides of it, doing the modeling and the designing, and I agree with you. Being the model is a lot more fun and stress-free. It's just kind of like, get your hair done, get your makeup done, walk down the runway. Yeah, so, but it's good. And then, of course, I was wearing the hat of show coordinator too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hats, so.
You were the person going. I was like,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Right, I know, yeah.
No,
So.
it wasn't you that day.
Yeah. It was a little stressful. Hopefully this year we'll have more help, so.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So did you guys have any kind of design process to get ready for the show? Did you have any special connection as a team to be like, hey?
Well, we did have to make sure that we were on the same page. Like, what colors? What is this formal wear? Is it every day? And we're both like, it's gotta be formal wear. It's gotta have a lot of details. We love details.
Couture.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like basically inspiration. You've got to get your inspiration. You've got to conceptualize, figure out if your pieces are going to work, and then actually create them. And that's the full process.
And this was the first time I've worked with someone else in designing, so a lot of the times it's designing for myself, and I get to, it's my full creative, but it was so much fun to bounce ideas off each other and to have just to watch her ideas come out and mine come out at the same time, and that we come to end up pink being the theme and flowers, and we were, it was so far from where we started. We thought we were going to go with real dramatic, bold colors.
Yeah, interesting.
And we had this really large spectrum that we were going to use. We're going to use all these colors, and then it was such an organic process of us working together. We just kind of naturally came to what we ended up with, and I think it came out great.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it was a fun process, and we should definitely do it again.
Yeah, you should. I was wondering if you had an inspiration for your collection, like was there a certain designer or a certain, like a movie, or just was there something where you're thinking like, oh, that's my inspiration, or was it just colors? And
It was feminine.
Yes,
Just
that was the
wanted
word
to
I was
hear
going to
it.
say. That
Right,
anyone
right. Young, youthful. We wanted
Right.
something very pretty and feminine, and that was kind of where we went. And then,
yeah, I love formal wear too. So.
I was gonna say you all have that in common. You all did formal wear.
Totally, yeah. And I think my collection was a little bit more casual than other things I've done, because I've done a lot of bridal. So this one for the last year, I purposely tried to make it a little bit more casual, but it's like I'm just drawn to sparkly, shiny.
yeah, the beading.
Yeah, all that. So
Yeah.
I like flashy, kind of in your face stuff.
I think we should do it.
Yeah. I agree. I think we're on the same page there. Yeah.
So how exciting for you guys was it to be part of the first major wedding fashion show?
It was super exciting. It was. I feel like we already covered it, because it was our first one, so we had no idea what to expect, and we just came in here to do our best. And
You did, yeah, you did a great job. I mean, that's the thing too, is like I think all the designers and all the models were so flexible, and everybody was really easy to work with because, you know, that's just kind of the attitude you kind of have to have when you're going into something you've never done before, and I was,
It could all go wrong.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna do it anyway.
but I was pleasantly surprised. Everybody was really, really easy, you know, and very prepared too, which I, of course, really appreciate as the person that's coordinating everybody, you know.
Yeah.
It makes a world of difference. So I was impressed. I thought everybody, all the models, like nobody tripped, nobody had a moment, nobody ripped their dress. You know what I mean? Like it was. I was like, wow, everybody was really professional. I was expecting at least one person to fall down.
I mean, you're going down those stairs too, and I would be like, if it was me, I would probably trip. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of our girls held the rail when they went down.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that was
that was necessary.
Yeah.
I was told everybody, now hold the rail. Just picturing them kind of tripping, you know.
But I'm like, when it comes down to it, you guys, you just need to make it down those stairs and just be comfortable. So we went and got their shoes, and so it's like, if the shoes are gonna hinder how you guys come down those stairs, then let's go with flats.
Yeah,
let's
make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, so that definitely came into our decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you tell your family, like, oh, we're a part of a family fashion show, come see? Or not at all?
Yeah, I bought my mom and my grandma tickets.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah. And thank you for the ticket.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It was kind of an afterthought for me. It was like, it was about the end of August, and I was like, oh yeah, guys, I forgot to mention, yeah, there's a show.
Yeah.
So, but it was really great because my aunt got to be involved, and her daughter walked for us, and her friends, and it was really cool because we got to pull in some girls who would otherwise probably not model. So they got a little taste of it, and I thought that was a really fun thing to do for them because teenage girls dressing up and modeling, I think it was a big deal for them too.
Yeah.
So that was really fun to share in the
Just be cool
experience.
to say, I was in a runway show.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's why I kind of skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of being part of the show?
I loved seeing what everyone else was working on. Like, you know how once you create your own collection, you know how hard it is, all the problems you could run into, and actually seeing everything come together is super exciting, and like seeing what everyone had as a finished product.
Yeah, it's definitely the day of, and we had done so much prep work, and we'd done so much work ahead of time to make sure we were ready. So by the time we got here, it was like just a matter of getting the girls in the dresses and hanging out. But it was like, it was such a cool moment to see them all ready, makeup, hair, dressed up, shoes, like, and they all just kind of filled that space, and they got into the role, and they did such a good job. It was so cool to see that happen, and to get some really great pictures.
So the completed look was your favorite part.
That was my favorite part, hands down.
Yeah. For me, it was really kind of seeing all the different elements of the show kind of come together. You know, like everything happening backstage, all the prep, and then, you know, like working with the DJ on like music, and, you know, seeing all the seats fill up, and then finally having it actually like happening and all these different pieces kind of, you know, working together to, you know, have the show run smoothly. For me, it was just that it went from start to finish without any any major, you know, glitches or whatever. Yeah, and so that was probably my favorite part. Was just like seeing the show kind of come alive with all the different elements, and I loved the diversity of all the models and the looks that the designers came up with. I mean, it was a lot of creativity, which is exciting to see all in one place at one time. Yeah,
That was really cool.
I think especially for like a smaller town like Reading, because you kind of automatically look and assume there's nothing there, but there is.
Yeah, it's just sort of like hidden
Hidden,
gems.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised for sure.
What advice would you give to other designers, both adults and youngsters? For
Time management is the most important. It was easy for us to design, but the hard part was getting together and actually putting in the work to get it done. Figuring that out is the hardest.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 toddlers,
Oh my
full-time
gosh.
work.
I was in
Get
a
together
tiny
with her.
little studio apartment at the time, so we were using my place and like my living room / kitchen area to sew all this and cut it out. That was
We
hard.
made it work.
We did.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Putting
Yeah.
attaching rhinestones in my car.
Yeah,
I love
right.
it. Time at a moment.
Wow, you guys, that's pretty
But,
impressive.
we had very high expectations of ourselves, so we really made an effort to manage our time because we wanted to be ready
Like,
on
we
the
want to
day.
have extra pieces, more so than the
Yeah.
entire of us, so we'll get that done.
Yeah, and I think we work together as far as being overachievers and wanting a quality product. I think that's what we strive for, and we actually pulled it off.
Yeah.
It was tough, but we managed.
Although the hard work definitely was reflected in your garments. I mean, they looked very professional.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My advice, I mean, is sort of if you're just starting out in designing and you don't have a lot of experience, is to keep it simple.
Okay.
What you are designing and making, like, don't bite off something you can't finish, because there's nothing more frustrating than having this wonderful idea and then going through the process and realizing, oh no, I can't actually do this. And so kind of managing your expectations, I think, is part of it. I know for me, when I started out, my expectations were like, way pie in the sky. And then through sewing, I sort of realized, okay, I have to change this a little bit, And the other thing I would say is the time management is huge. And working with your models is really important too.
Okay.
Like, really communicating with them about what you want them to do, whether it's on the runway or the way you want them to wear the garment or whatever it is. I mean, I think the model can kind of make it or break it as far as the way your look gets presented to the world, to the audience, whoever's looking at it. So I'm really fortunate because we've worked with a lot of different local models in our photography, Jamie and I, to where they were just like old pros, and I was so busy doing everything else with the rest of the show. I was just like, okay, put your clothes on. I don't have time to do anything else, so good luck. And they were just like, great. It was like, thank goodness. It's awesome.
And one of the strategies that you mentioned, and kind of what we did too, was we kept the design, and then we figured we would go back and add the details later. So if we didn't have time, we finished the garment, and if we didn't have time to put in the level of detail, the beading and all the embellishments, then that was going to be
Used to be
last.
okay.
Yeah, that was one of our strategies we really used, because it was like, well, we don't know if we're going to have time to do that.
That's
but
smart.
we'll leave
That
it
is
for last.
smart,
It'll be complete, but
Yeah.
then we'll go back and we'll add it. So that was definitely one of our
I
strategies.
feel like a lot of sewing shows, whether it be Project Runway or the Ready Showing Me, they do it the opposite way, and that way they have unfinished ends, and you're like, yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
they're
right.
sitting there attaching bead, and I'm just like, finish it!
Right?
Yeah.
I'm always impressed with how they pick things to make on those shows, that it's like a tailored suit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would never make that in one day.
24 hours.
But I guess that's the fun of the show. But in
Yeah.
real life, it's like, no, that would never fly.
No, realistically, yeah.
Yeah.
So I opened it up this time to some viewers to ask some questions, and we got a great one from Instagram. So Rachel Hatch asked, how many hours on average does it take you to make one piece in a collection?
If only you tracked your hours.
All of those lunch breaks in the
Right.
car. It depends on the piece.
Yeah.
Really.
Maybe for a more difficult, like, formal piece.
Well, like a lined skirt with an invisible zipper.
Mm-hmm.
A nice waistband. What do you say? I feel like I'm pretty quick,
Yeah.
but not like super quick.
But you have to think about, like, finding the fabric.
Oh, is
cutting
that-
cutting
is that-
cutting the pattern.
Start the finish.
Cut the
That's a
pattern.
good question. I can't get my head around it, because what we did, a lot of the pieces we did
Like
was two-piece.
simultaneous.
She did a lot of the tops, and then I constructed a lot of the bottoms, and then we went in
Kind of
and
put it together.
put it together. Yeah. So to add up our hours, I don't know. It'd be a couple of days.
I was just trying to find what you think.
Yeah, we did it over the course of several weeks, so it was really hard to get an idea.
Mhm.
Definitely allow yourself a lot of time.
Yes.
So for me, if I'm making, let's say a tulle bridal skirt that's lined and all of that, if I really have to, I can get it down to like 6 hours start to finish, but that's only because I've been making basically the same kind of skirt over and over again for a number of years.
So it's muscle memory.
Yeah, and when I started out, it would take me a month to make one skirt.
Okay,
for what I had in the collection, I purposely picked things that were quicker and easier to make, and I didn't include any tulle because that is a really kind of hard to work with, laborious fabric. Beautiful, obviously, but you know. So I think I spent less time on each of my garments, probably more around 3 hours, you know, like for each skirt or whatever. So
It's pretty efficient.
yeah. And then, you know, I didn't do a lot of embellishment this time, you know, because I just knew I didn't have time, so I kept it simple.
You have experience than the rest of us don't. So you've been doing this for how long again?
Well, yeah, for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and honestly, if you're designing clothes for a model, it took me a little less nerve-wracking than designing clothes for a customer.
Because customers are more picky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
And they're not
brides.
paying for it.
Yes, they're not paying for it either. They're just having fun.
Yeah, that's a good viewpoint to have.
Yeah. So in that way, the pressure is off a little bit for me.
Yeah. So where can people find you on the internet if they want to contact you?
We are actually working on our website.
Oh,
We're
great.
making like a gallery kind
Awesome.
of website.
Yeah, so we definitely need to do a follow-up photo shoot of all our looks
To
and
have content for our website.
yeah, so we're working on it. It's definitely something we enjoy doing. We want to add to it and continue to grow on this path because it's been so fun for us. It's been a relief from my job, you know, finances, and it's just to get to use the other side of my brain and be creative again. So we definitely want to continue it, and we do take orders. I do have business cards if people are interested,
Okay.
but definitely wait for the website and photos, and we'll continue creating.
And there are business cards here at Reading Fashion Lines also. People can find me on Etsy, Dark Pony Designs, or on my website, darkponydesigns.com. And I'm here, I work out of the Reading Fashion Alliance, so yeah.
Well, thanks for coming and chatting, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tabitha.
for doing this. It's fun.
Yeah.
So you can contact us at sochatty@gmail.com if you have any questions or you have any comments or you have someone I think you think I should talk to in an interview. We're also all over the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at SoChatty. And subscribe for part 2 with talking with more designers. So, thanks for watching.